Hello, my dear friends, and welcome to the Relentless Success Chronicles, where we discuss with our amazing guests what it takes to succeed. I'm honored to sit down today with our wonderful Mike Levy. Mike has an interesting professional career, from fashion to recruiting in one of the largest recruiting operations in the US. 9/11 attacks changed his world and saw 30% of his business be lost as he was a business owner at the time. By consequence, he reoriented himself in education as a substitute teacher and then became the business department chair at Salle in 2012, where he has built the most unique business program in the world at the high school level. Hi, Mike. How are you? What time is it down in New York? Down or up?
We're in upstate New York, and it is
Yeah.
now exactly 7:30 in the morning.
Well, thank you very much. I think this is one of the only times that you could come online. Am I right?
Yeah. Well, starting tomorrow, because my seniors are done, I can be online at 8:15 in the morning now. So
Ooh. Very busy person. Yeah, you have a I read a little bit of your past and how you got to where you are, and I'm super impressed. And yeah, if you can tell us a little bit more how you got to your position now, and maybe at the same time let us know how you view success. And yeah, there you go. That's my long
um,
question.
well, with the how I got to where I am today, I spent 20 years in the quote unquote real world, where I was an international headhunter for the reinsurance industry. And
Oh,
I've worked for some of the largest recruiting firms in the world, but I've also owned my own operations. And 9/11 pretty much put me out of business. When the towers came down on 9/11, I lost 30% of my business.
wow,
So,
that's a lot.
yeah.
Mm.
And at that point in time, I was at a stage in my life where I really felt like I was young enough to still build it back up, but I had gotten to that point after 20 years where building it back up was no longer an option. It was time to move on. And I always wanted to be a teacher. So I started out in a public school and I was a floating teacher. So I'm multi content oriented. I can teach almost any subject. And when the opportunity in 2012 came up to come to LaSalle and start a business program, I jumped at it. To
Did you
build.
find, but did you find the transition difficult? And would you qualify that transition as successful? Like if people, for
Oh, yeah,
example,
I
you know,
definitely,
the zero step.
I definitely feel that the move from the real world into academia was a success, and it was successful. But uh, to to put it really into the word success is a perception.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You look at people who are successful in our minds, we perceive that that person's successful because they're driving a Rolls Royce, or which is my favorite car, by the way, even though I don't have one
Yeah.
yet. Um, but it's it, I don't look at people and look at the things they have and say that's a success. And I'm always reminded of a scene in the movie Holiday Inn with Bing Crosby, a 1944 production, I think it is, or 46
Yeah.
production. Bing Crosby decides to open up an inn and only be open on all the holidays in the year, thus the name Holiday Inn. And he's interviewing this young woman who will be the love interest in the movie. Um, and she makes the comment that, you know, they never had much. Her father worked real hard, but they never had much. But as long as they had food on the table, clothes on their back, and a roof over their head, everything was fine. And
Mm.
Bing Crosby looked at her and said, then your father was a very successful man. You know, it's, to me, success is subjective. It's a perception. It's based on your own internal clock and how it works, and not on what other people perceive to be successful. I know people who are extremely wealthy people, and I don't deem them as a success at all.
I agree.
So,
I totally agree.
I have a two things in my room, my classroom, statements in my classroom. One says, "Don't quit your daydream," and the other one says, "Do it with passion."
Yeah.
I believe those two statements alone are foundational statements for what success is.
Mm.
You know, doing it with passion is you follow what makes you passionate. And if you do that and you make it your life, you will always be content and you will be a success. Don't quit your daydream. Don't accept a job just for the sake of it being a job. Accept a job because it's going to lead you in those steps to make your daydream come true. And that to me is also success. So
What do you say to people that I like younger, 20 years old, and still don't really know what they really want, and they don't really have yet a dream, a daydream, and they kind of like going, okay, I have to study, okay, I have to have a job because I need to pay the bills. What do you tell them to for them to be able to find that passion, to find that way?
they have to look inside themselves. Number one, they have to look at what is it that really juices them, what is it that jazzes them up. Okay, and I don't care what it is. If you like riding on the back end of a garbage truck and picking up garbage and throwing it in every day, do it. if you
Yeah.
if you like the music industry, then investigate every opportunity there is in music and pick something and pursue it. Don't sit back and say, "Oh, I don't know what I want to do." You got to go out and find it. You know,
Yeah.
coming from the baby boomer generation, where it was instilled in us that to be successful, you got to find something that you can throw yourself into and work hard at it. And I don't know if that message is being taught enough today.
Well, coming from the following generation from you, because my parents were, basically we were us. I mean, most of us was you can't do whatever you want. You need to pay the bills, so just get a job. So it was kind of like, I
But
think
if you
we grew up with that message, and we got a little bit of tired of it, I would say. So it's like generation after generation. But I wonder how now the generation of the 20-year-olds see it, because of all this social media, everything. Like, everyone wants to be a TikToker, everyone wants to be an actor, everyone wants to be famous, and for them that is how they qualify success.
Well,
I mean,
Andy Warhol said that everybody seeks their 15 minutes of fame.
yeah.
Okay. TikTok is that Andy Warhol moment.
Yeah.
Okay. So, but that 15 minutes of fame isn't going to pay the bills over the long haul. That
Yeah.
15 minutes of fame isn't going to satisfy you personally. That 15 minutes of fame doesn't mean anything. It's being able to take what you know, what you have, and being able to work hard to be successful. That's what it's about. And that message is lost on today's youth. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things that I strive to do all the time in my classroom, is I try to make sure that the messaging is right, so that the
Mm.
kids understand that you want something, you have to work for it. You can't, it's not going to be given to you. I mean, we spent the last 4 years, or 3 of the last 4 years coming out of COVID,
Yeah.
not getting everybody working again. We got to give it to them. Okay. Oh, you lost your job. We're going to give you money for the next 2 years. That, I'm sorry, that doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
It,
That sounds like Europe.
yeah, well, it
Sorry.
doesn't lead to success.
No, yeah, no, I agree. But Robin Sharma, I'm a big fan of Robin Sharma, and he actually says like you have to become the master of your craft, and to become the master of your craft, you have to study that craft. But at the beginning, you need to know your craft, and as you said, you have to really look in and say, okay, what is it that I really enjoy doing day by day?
Yeah. And it's true. You have to be a master of that craft. And that's why I say find the craft that makes you passionate.
Yeah. I think that's the most difficult thing. I
Yes.
think for youth now, I mean, us, we didn't. I mean, I didn't grow up with my phone like this. I didn't grow up with phones. I didn't grow up with all the technology. So for us, we were bored. So we, reflect all the time on what can we do. Nowadays, they're so bombarded with like information and ideas that I wonder how they choose basically, like how really. I think it's more difficult.
Well, they see everybody else going in certain directions, and instead of finding it's one thing. You get out of high school and you decide, I want to be a computer programmer. Well, that's a very defined career.
Yeah.
Or you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a doctor. Those are very defined careers. There's a path that you have to follow, but for most people, they don't have that path.
True.
So they pick what somebody else recommends they should do.
Yeah.
And because I remember getting out of high school, my guidance counselor told me, you'll never be a teacher. Honestly,
The never.
you're 18, you're 18 years old and you have an adult tell you, somebody who's in a leadership role, and they come out and they say, you're never going to be something.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. It's
and
difficult.
that's what becomes a major stopping point for young people to move forward, because there's always somebody telling them you can't do it. In my program, when we really went real world in the business program, where our kids work on projects around the world for businesses. Now we're talking about 14 to 18-year-old kids working on projects for businesses, real projects. People
Amazing.
always tell me, you can't do this.
Of
And I'm
course. You
saying,
can.
yeah, I can. There's no reason why it can't be done. And
Exactly. Yeah.
and I say this, that the difference between my kids and a 30-year professional, besides income, is the fact that my kids come up with no professional baggage. They're going to look at something and it's a clean slate, and they're going to try every possible way to get that round peg into the square hole, right? And hope that it works. But then when they discover it doesn't, they move on, but they don't go back and say that'll never work. Where a 30-year professional says, I've been doing this way, it's what I do best, and this is the only way we can do it. Well, no, there's more ways to solve any problem. And so that's what separates my kids from anybody else out there. And my kids have done absolutely amazing work. I always marvel at what they accomplish. And I look at it first off as that proud teacher, but I also look at it as, man, when I was their age, there's no way I could have done this stuff.
Well, you don't know because you weren't
Right. Because,
presented
we
with
never had
it.
the opportunity, because there was
Yeah.
no technology.
Yeah.
But that's so today, when I look at success as a teacher, my success is the legacy of what these kids will do when they move on in life. That's my success.
Well,
Has
they're
nothing to
very,
do.
very
It
lucky.
has nothing to do with income. It has nothing to do with
Mm,
anything that is a physical possession. It has everything to do with, did I do enough to inspire? did I do enough to educate? Did I do enough to build their foundation so that they could go forward?
Yeah, they're very lucky to have you then, because it's not often that you have that. I think I had, out of all my years of school, I think I had one English teacher that inspired me and that went outside of the box with her teaching, and I think it helped me. But yeah,
Then
and I
you
think
know
in
what, Louise, then you're
education,
a lucky person.
yeah, at least I had one. It's true, it's true. But in education, what is lacking, in my opinion, is more teachers that have that growth mindset
Mhm.
of, okay, you didn't do well this time, but okay, let's see what we can do for you to succeed in the next test. And it's just there's lacking this. I don't know if it's the education system, or, but yeah, we're lacking the growth mindset.
I think sometimes it's a lacking of vision.
Mm,
Okay. If and it's if you don't see yourself as successful, you won't be successful. And
mm.
if teachers don't see you as successful, then it's going to be harder for you to become successful in your own mind, because the negative side, because it's always easier to put somebody down. It's always easier to tell somebody you can't do it than it is to work hard and show them that they can do it.
Mm, mm. Yeah. And I guess the teachers nowadays are overworked,
And
if I can,
underpaid.
and underpaid. Yeah. That is very true. But in France, I'm not quite sure how the other countries in Europe really function. But in France, it's a really big problem, the teaching system and the education system, public, not private. I don't know about the private. But yeah.
It's teachers have to be given the opportunity to step outside the box, to
Are you,
think outside.
are you, yeah, are you teaching teachers? Are you on a board
No,
of some sort, or no?
no, I am strictly a business teacher. I'm the head of the program, and that's where I want to be. I want to be hands on with the kids. I don't want to be teaching somebody else how to teach, because, be honest, nobody taught me how to teach. Okay. Coming out of the real world, I trained people how to interview, taught people
Yeah.
how to look for jobs. So I built my whole idea in front of people on my own. So I do things my way. I went back to school and got my master's in education, but my undergraduate is not in education, it's in business. I
Mm-mm-mm.
spent 28 years in the business world, 8 years in fashion, and then 20 years, as a headhunter before I got into
Mm.
education.
So how was the transition between the fashion industry and headhunting? How did that happen too?
Well, I answered an ad because I wasn't, yeah, this company was looking for people. It was more of a sales job, as they said. I had no
Mm,
idea what a headhunter was. And because I came out of an environment that you really have to work hard. I mean, if fashion is not an industry that you sit back.
no.
It is a tough, hardworking industry. So I already had that work ethic going in. I never realized that I would spend 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, eating, sleeping, and thinking, recruiting, closing deals in airports, and the whole, as I'm flying from one place to another. So the transition on work ethic side was real easy. The transition in understanding the business, where I saw many contemporaries not be able to understand it, I picked it up real quick.
Mm,
And not not to crow about myself, but I within my first 6 weeks in the industry, I made 3 placements, which is still a record at Management Recruiters International.
yeah.
So that's so it was easy to make that. For me, it was easy to make that transition. But
Okay.
I'm also a very flexible person, so I can easily move inside and out.
Moving. Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, well, I know that you have a very limited amount of time, so we're going to finish off on just this last question. But I think we kind of talked about it earlier, but I have to ask it. So, what advice would you give to someone seeking to define their own vision of success?
To define their own vision of success.
Yeah, how would you help them
First
do that?
down, first down, write. I would write down so you can visualize it. I would write down exactly what I deem success is, and then I would I would put it somewhere so I can always see it. And as I am moving along in life, I would add to it or take away from it and adjust it till I really understand what success is in my mind. You know,
Mm,
and don't let anybody else interrupt that internal perception. All right, because that's all that matters. That's why I said earlier, if you like riding on the back of a garbage truck, picking up garbage and throwing it in all day long, then and it pays the bills and it puts food on the table and a roof over your head, then you're successful.
yeah,
You,
100%.
you
Yeah,
don't have
yeah,
to be you don't have to be Elon Musk or Donald Trump or Jeff Bezos or any of
yeah.
those people to be successful.
Mm, mm.
All you have to do is be extremely happy with what you're doing, be proud of what you accomplish, and if you have those two things, then you're successful.
Okay, noted. I note it for myself. Well, thank you very much. I'll let you go for you to your students. Have they been arriving?
Yeah, they are. They're rolling in now. The day's about ready to start. I've had a few students sitting in here as we were going through this,
I know, yeah, yeah,
and they
yeah.
were
I
very
understood.
quiet. So I'm really proud of them for being that
Well,
way because
thank you very
generally
much,
they're not.
students.
Okay. It was
Well, thank
very
you
nice
very
to meet
much.
you.
Same, and have a wonderful day.
You too.
Let's see how we record this, and then
Yeah. Now let's
you'll
see how
send
I
it to me
stop
that
it.
it's recording.
Okay.
Okay, take care.
Take care. Bye bye.
Bye.